The thickening of the epidermal layer for me is very interesting because one of the things that we know in perimenopause, as we start to see declining levels of estrogen and all of our hormones, the skin actually becomes thinner,
Yes.
right? It
Yes.
becomes more opaque.
Mm-hmm.
And so that thickening of the epidermal layer, I think, is very important because that's when you start to see like the fine lines
Yes.
and wrinkles. And I remember looking at my grandmother and just like see-through skin.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could see the blood, but you
Yes.
could see everything underneath. So that I think is wonderful. And I think that for most women who are in their 40s that are starting to notice maybe a little bit more crepiness, a little bit more fine lines and wrinkles, that thickening of is going to
Yeah.
improve those fine lines as well. Would you agree?
Definitely, definitely. So it's all correlated. As we increase more collagen, as you basically brings the skin to that homeostasis state in which the skin is able to produce that thicker epidermal layer and leading to a stronger skin barrier. That's definitely affect how smooth and how, more firm or supple your skin is. So we can talk about like the body lotion, but we developed this body product, and one of the main results is that we can say that it increases the epidermal layer thickness, and that's why it's helping so many people, not only with crepey skin, but also as you said, like the skin when someone gets older gets very thin and very fragile and tends to tear very easily. And by strengthening this epidermal layer, we are basically avoiding those processes that are very uncomfortable, right, for old people when your skin starts to bruise all the time or to tear all the
Right.
time. So we have amazing testimonials from our customers that people used to use band-aids over their skin on their arms. And by using OS1 body, they could basically recover like the strength of the skin, and they didn't need those band-aids anymore. Their skin were not tearing as they used to be. And so really, really excited to see this impact beyond obviously, just the appearance of, the skin. But I agree. I think for, menopause, perimenopause, or postmenopause, this is definitely a very important factor that we can counteract with, peptides that work by targeting senescent cells.
Yeah, and when I think of the body as a whole, like there are different areas that are just naturally thinner than others, right? So I wanted to talk to you about the difference
Yeah.
between like the skin under the eyes is much more delicate
Yeah.
than like the rest of the face. Even like the décolletage
Mm-hmm.
area, like the area sort of in the chest tends to be thinner.
Yeah.
The other area that I have, women will complain about is their knees,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like the skin around the knees
Yeah.
kind of thing. So there's different almost environments and even like microbiome environments in the skin, like, if you're in the armpit or the bottom of the foot or the face or, neck. Let's talk a little bit about how we can think about, for example, I've heard in the past, oh, you just never bother with eye creams. Like they don't do anything. It's just a waste of money. But I always have noticed myself that the skin under my eyes is just thinner. So why
Yeah.
wouldn't we
Yeah.
require something special for skin that's thinner? So can you talk a little bit about maybe under the eyes, the neck and chest area,
Yeah.
knees, that kind of thing, where the skin tends to be a little bit, the knees are a little different because it tends to be a little bit more, I don't know, wrinkly, I
Yeah.
guess, because
Yeah.
you're bending and straightening the
Exactly.
knee all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and that's also what led us to develop specific products. So first, we started with the face moisturizer that contains the peptide, and right after, we thought about the skin of your body. Obviously, we can't neglect like 97% of our skin that is the skin that's covering our body, and the difference is that your body will be less exposed to sun damage than your face. Obviously, your neck and décolletage can be more exposed. That's why a lot of times you're going to see more aging on your décolletage or arms or hands because they are more exposed.
Oh yeah, the back of the hands. That's
Yes.
another spot. Yeah,
Yeah.
another thin. Yeah, yeah.
So knowing that, we decided to create this body lotion that also contains the peptide that's able to target senescent cells in your whole body and really has this amazing effect of increasing the epidermal thickness, decreasing inflammation, soothing and calming your skin. But for air, so this has a lower concentration of the peptide because our body again is not as exposed to damage as our face. But
As the face.
obviously,
Yeah.
if you think about your décolletage or your hands, maybe you still need a little bit more help. So you could either use the face product that's a little more concentrated for those areas as well. The very interesting part about the eye, and you're totally right, the skin around our eyes is 5 times thinner than the skin around our face. And when we measure the biological age of the skin just under or above your eyes, is 20 to 30 years older than the skin around your temples, which is like
Wow.
shocking.
Why is that? Why is it so much older? Is it
It,
because of the thinness?
it's yeah, it's much thinner. Also, it's moving all the time. So I think it's similar to what happens with your knees. So the more that you're, using that, I would say, skin or muscle, you end up like kind of, wearing, tearing. But so knowing that, we knew that we needed to develop like a specific formulation to target the skin around our eyes. So what we did, first we got eyelid samples of like people that do blast surgeries, and we cultured those eyelids in the lab, and we were testing like very specific formulations to target the skin around our eyes, and we increased the concentration of the peptide. So the peptide on the eye cream, it's a higher concentration than the product on our face. So it's the most potent formula that we have. And the clinical studies that we did with the eye products are the ones that have like the strongest data as well in terms of increasing elasticity around, if I'm not mistaken, like 24%, increasing hydration like 30. Really very interesting. We saw one effect on the eyelids that start to droop over time, that a lot of the participants seemed that they did like a surgery. It was completely smooth and really like gave that
It's like
lifting.
they've had bleph.
Yeah,
They've had a
exactly.
blepharoplasty. Yeah, yeah.
That lifting effect. So was we were very excited when we saw this on the eyelids, because we're not even like, usually we're looking around, under eyes and crow's feet, but the eyelid effect was really interesting. So knowing that, we are always thinking how we can be more effective by designing products that are specific to those specific areas. And I agree. I think there are areas that we need more protection. And for example, if your area of most concern is your neck or your chest, I would use the eye cream on your neck, on your chest, because it's the
Because it
strongest.
has the highest
Yeah, exactly.
concentration. You were mentioning before when you were looking at skin samples in the lab that you were able to reduce the biological age of the skin in 5 days by 2.5 years. Did you see something similar with the eye cream or the eyelids?
Yeah, we have not done the same study with the eyelids. It's actually a good reminder. We can definitely repeat those studies. This biological age measurement is a very expensive experiment because we needed to kind of sequence the methylation, but I think it's definitely worth testing. We will only be able to do this probably in the lab, because in humans it's really hard to get a biopsy of your eyes. But
Sure, yeah, yeah. Unless you have a good plastic surgeon who's just doing blephs all the
yeah,
time. He just
exactly.
grabs the
Yeah.
extras in.
Yeah.